hero. Never was. I'm just an old killer, hired to do some wet work.
Hey, what's up? It's Mrnakedsnake. So today I like to talk about relationships between boys and girls. Now I had earlier talk about girlfriends and how you have to find out what a girl likes and whatnot, right? So this time I'm gonna break it down a little bit and kind of give a little bit of advice. Don't take it to heart if you don't believe it, but if it belongs to you. But for somebody like me who might be listening, this is pretty much, well, I guess we would say a starting point. Like a beginner's guide, kind of like what you should try to do, and so this way you know which way your life is going and exactly what obstacles you're going to run into, and how that's going to change how you pursue a relationship. So for me, I've always started out with trying to get to know the girl, as a friendly person, right? Now a lot of things are different there, because sometimes a girl likes you already and wants to date you, but you don't know her, so you don't know exactly what kind of long-term effects that'll happen if you happen to hurt her feelings, or you fall in love with her and then she hurts your feelings. So you have to always keep in mind, like when dating with girls, you have to be like, okay, well, you have to ask the girl, well, who do you like, who have you liked, what are your ambitions, what are your plans, what do you like doing? And for me, growing up, when I first started out when I was a kid, I used to think, well, you know what, I bet you I'll date a bunch of girls, take them out to eat, take them out dancing, and take them home and call it a night, right? I wasn't even thinking about sex or making out or anything like that. I was just thinking about having a good time. This is a guy thinking like this, right? So it's kind of strange, right? But as I got older, I started realizing my life. I kind of realized to do those things, it's a little bit more difficult than what I thought it was. So in order to do stuff like that, you have to stay in school, you have to be smart, you have to be athletic, and you have to be kind of like healthy all the time. And so for that to happen, you have to stay in school. And I hate to say it, I'm not the best role model of school. My college days, they were good, but my high school years, oh, it was terrible. I dropped out. I had to go back to continuation, and it was an ugly mess. And so I guess as I got older, things kind of maybe changed a little bit, molded a little bit better for myself, and I did good in school. But for the most part, high school was rough. So anyways, I would try to go out with these girls, and I'd date them. I'd talk to them at school, and basically in high school and in college. I just talk to them, ask them questions, about their relationships and stuff like that. And that's how basically I made kind of like a questionnaire, right? So with that information, that kind of stuff kind of tells me what she likes and what she wants to do with her life, And don't get me wrong, it's not easy to use this plan, because basically this plan basically tells you, whether or not you really want to pursue a relationship with this person, because sometimes some girls are still hung up on somebody else. They're faithful to something else, and they're not really faithful to like something that you want in life, because like if you're like me, and you think you have problems in your life and whatnot, you kind of want somebody that's going to help you like along through your life, kind of give you that help, right? And in real life doesn't work like that. Everybody comes with their own problems, so most likely for me, the girl wants to take care of herself, before she takes care of somebody else, right? So in reality, it's got to be a 50-50. I take care of my problems, she takes care of her problems, and we just meet in the middle, and what would be like a fantasy world of fun and stuff like that. But in reality, it's not like that. In reality, if she has problems, you have problems. Coming together, if your problem conflicts with her problems, it's not going to work out. So that's why you have to ask these questions. And I don't want to sound like a hypocrite, but I have failed my own plan. There's some times where I didn't ask the right questions, or I didn't follow through with my plan when I knew the answer was it wasn't going to be a good relationship if I try to come after this or not, right? And that kind of happens every now and then. It's kind of like science. It's like you can't always predict what's going to happen. Sometimes things that are insignificant that you don't see kind of get in the way, and they alter your direction. But ultimately, I didn't really get hurt emotionally or mentally, but some of these some of the relationships I was in, it might have changed their life a little bit, so it wasn't really a good breakup for me. It wasn't really a good thing for me overall, But that's the way it is, you have to realize that it's harder to be, how can I say, to play it safe than it is to just go wild out, and that, I chalk that up to history. History has taught people to just wild out, always charge in for relationships, always, do your, if first you don't succeed, try again. That works okay when you go to school or when you try to do sports, stuff like that. But when in relationships, it's kind of cut and dry, It's like, if she likes playing with fire and you don't like playing with fire, you might as well not mess with her because you're going to get burned. All right. So there's that, and another thing I like to talk about is the way people deal with rejection. Now, men are known to deal with rejection better than women because men have always been known traditionally to handle, being turned down all the time, right? And I've been turned down a few times, so it's no biggie for me, right? But women are always say that women can't deal with rejection. But see, I don't think that's fair because I think men and women should both equally be able to deal with rejection. Because if men got to deal with rejection, women got to deal with rejection. And that's the thing that also molds us, because history has shown that women, who can't deal with rejection are die hard for specific life, right? Specific person. And that right there is what kind of makes life difficult, because if a woman can't deal with rejection, it's only going to make it harder for guys, because now, you got this guy talking all this bad nonsense about this girl who's in love with them, and now the world is being taught something that, now you're being taught something that's kind of realistic and like, so now all girls are just bitches, and all they're good for is whatever. But in that case, in that scenario, it's only because this one female was dead, was dying to be with this guy. So it's not always good, So when you hear your buddy talking stuff about his girlfriend, usually it's because his girlfriend is probably like madly in love with him, probably wants to be with him. And I'm pretty sure I shouldn't even have to tell you this because it's probably common sense. But I mean, it's kind of a reminder that, hey, you know what, you kind of think, oh, man, this guy's got lucky, but he doesn't care. So, keep that in the back of your mind and then just carry on with your day, right? And so it goes back to women, if a woman should be able to ask guys questions too, like, hey, who'd you like, this and that, because if a girl knows the guy doesn't like her, then she shouldn't try, she should just give up on that, dead end anyway, because if guys have to be able to give up on a dead end, so should girls, right? And because, if one person doesn't give up, is it kind of like a sickness, like a flu, like, damn, I think I caught a flu because I don't want to give up on this dead end, or is it just because, the guy just doesn't realize what he's doing? But everybody's going to come up with excuses, and whatnot. So I believe that it probably is kind of like contagious, like a contagious fever. So it takes a while to kick that fever. So anyways, back to the story. So I guess what I'm trying to break down to you relationship wise is always know who you're trying to date, whether it be a guy or a girl. For girls and guys, always know who you're trying to date, because in reality, if you know them for who they are and what they want, you're going to find out in life that you really don't make those long-term relationship mistakes. And, a lot of relationships now, they happen because of the workplace and stuff like that. And you would think that those relationships are healthy, but 9 times out of 10, they're not. It takes a lot of work, a lot of dedication, a lot of sacrifice, and usually there's always one side sacrificing more than the other. And for me, I'm not an outgoing person anymore in my life. So to see that, I'm like, okay, well, they have it. One of them sacrificing something while the other one is doing what they want to do, And so for me, it's like, well, am I really willing to sacrifice something? No. But am I demanding anything out of my partner? Maybe, you know what I mean? So be careful with relationships and work. I'm not trying to break anybody up, I'm just saying, if it was me on the other side, I probably would be kind of hesitant with the relationship at work, because it would be scary, because I don't know which way it's going to twist. Usually it's the man demanding for the woman, and the woman's willing to sacrifice. That's kind of tradition. But nowadays, with the way feminists are coming up and girl power and all this stuff, nowadays women are demanding of guys, right? So it's kind of becoming an even race, when it comes to relationships. And that's kind of a point that has to be pushed, that it's an even race now. It's like when we're in a relationship, what do you want, and that's what's breaking this topic down, this rant, is that when it comes down to it, men and women are equal. No one needs a sacrifice. If you're gonna go 100, go 100. If not, forget about it. But make sure you guys are compatible. Now, usually some people say opposites attract. Now, the reason why they say that is because the reason why men say that is because he's in love with that girl. He wants that girl. He's willing to sacrifice his life for that. Well, sacrifice all that he's working for that girl. So that's when a guy says that. When a girl says that, it means the same thing too. She's willing to do that. But see, and that topic usually it's a difficult topic, because usually if the one who's sacrificing everything and the other one who isn't sacrificing anything doesn't care, it turns into, I guess, what you would call like an ugly relationship. And everyone who gets to see it gets to see it, And I know it's hard for you to tell your buddy, hey, you know what, he doesn't like you, or you know what, she doesn't want you, because you don't want to say that, because usually the other side who's sacrificing is going to be super stubborn, super hard, super violent about the relationship, super protective. So that's another thing, So when I hear that, or when I'm in there, I'm like, well, I'll hear it, I'll keep it in the back of my mind, keep it as a note, but I won't bring it up, because I know it's not going to go anywhere for me. You know what I mean? And then I just let it die out on its own. But really, in the long run, it does look ugly, and it drives me nuts. But back to relationships. So in my relationship, I've always asked girls questions, and I've always tried to find out what they like, because I don't want to date a girl who doesn't really want to date me, or doesn't have any interest in me, you know what I mean? And I don't want to be the third wheel, and it's kind of hard. And now that I'm older, it's easier for me to understand that. But with these young kids, there's so much influence in the world, good times and bad times, that people make mistakes, and I hate making mistakes. I'm a big believer in hate making mistakes. I hate it because, if I already know ahead of time that it's a bad idea, usually I want to walk that path and stay away, But sometimes, life just brings you together, right? And it's like, nah, man, this is like, it's like trying to fight a forest fire, man. It's like, it's stupid, I don't even have a team to back me up most of the time, And that's what you need most of the time, is a team. But realistically, it's just a one-on-one match, And it's always that person that doesn't care that usually wins. But okay, so this is Mr. Snake, man. Tell me what you think about relationships. How do you think you should handle them? I like the way I do it, asking questions, knowing what the female wants, or vice versa if the female knows what the male wants, and basically just playing it safe. I mean, there's nothing wrong with playing it safe. I know history would say, well, you never gain it, you never do anything if you don't dare or you don't try, or this stuff. But you know what? In reality, who cares anymore about stuff like that? Now it's like, hey, you know what? Safe is fast. Slow is safe is fast. So everything gets done when you're safe. Eventually, and no one gets hurt, and everybody goes home, at least with their dignity, right? All right, man. So this is Mr. Naked Snake. Thanks for listening to this rant. Enjoy the game. This game was pretty jacked up. I was running around, split up from my group because we all just went separate. I thought I was going to be a baller. Thought I was going to be a snake in the grass. I got taught a lesson. All right, Mr. Naked Snake out.